I wish I knew that love isn't what movies teach us. It isn't found in fireworks, or grand gestures, or the illusion of forever. It's built quietly, through self-awareness, emotional honesty, and the courage to see someone not as a fantasy, but as they truly are. Most men don't learn this until it's too late. Until the silence after love becomes louder than the love itself. Until they realize they weren't really loving the woman in front of them. They were loving an idea. Before loving any woman, I wish I had understood my own psychology. I wish I had known how much of what we call love is projection, the unconscious act of placing our inner desires, wounds, and unmet needs onto another person. Carl Jung warned about this long ago. He said that when we fall in love, we don't see the other person clearly. We see our own soul mirrored in them. We love not who they are, but who we imagine them to be. That's the first mistake men make. We meet a woman and instantly project our inner ideal. The mother we craved, the peace we seek, the validation we never received. She becomes the mirror of everything we lack. And as long as she reflects it, we feel complete. But the moment her human flaws appear, the illusion cracks. We don't fall out of love. We fall out of projection. Jung called this the meeting of the anima, the inner feminine energy within a man's psyche. The anima represents emotion, creativity, empathy, and connection. Everything most men are taught to suppress. When a man falls in love, it's often his anima trying to come alive through another person. That's why love feels so overwhelming. It's not just about attraction. It's the soul's cry for wholeness. But if he doesn't recognize this, he becomes addicted to the woman as the source of that feeling. He chases her, worships her, or fears losing her, believing she completes him. In truth, it's his own unacknowledged self that he's searching for. I wish I had known that no woman can complete a man who hasn't faced his own emptiness. Because if you carry an unhealed void within you, you will keep trying to fill it with love. And love will never be enough. The moment she pulls away, you feel the emptiness again. You panic, you cling, you overanalyze, and you call it passion. But it's not passion. It's emotional dependency disguised as love. Real love doesn't come from lack. It comes from wholeness. It's not, I need you to make me feel worthy. It's, I'm already whole, and I choose to share that wholeness with you. Most men never reach that place because they've been conditioned to define their worth externally, through success, power, or approval. When they meet a woman who makes them feel alive, they hand over that sense of worth entirely, and when it's taken away, they collapse. I wish I knew that love will always test your ego. Every relationship will confront you with your insecurities, your fear of rejection, your hunger for validation, your pride, your need for control. A woman's love won't destroy you, but it will expose you. If you're not ready to see what that exposure reveals, you'll blame her for the discomfort that's actually coming from within. Love is not about finding the perfect person. It's about revealing the imperfect parts of yourself that you've spent years hiding. But instead of facing those parts, men often escape into logic. We intellectualize our feelings, analyze the relationship, look for strategies to win her back, or make her want us. We turn love into a game of performance because we're afraid of its vulnerability. I wish I had known that the more you try to control love, the faster it slips away. Real intimacy only grows in surrender, in the willingness to be seen without pretense. That's the paradox of masculine psychology. We're taught that strength means control, but love demands letting go. You can't truly love if you're still performing strength. Before loving any woman, I wish I had understood my attachment style. Attachment theory teaches us that our adult relationships mirror how we were emotionally bonded as children. If you grew up with inconsistent affection, you may become anxious in love, constantly fearing loss. If you grew up emotionally neglected, you may become avoidant, pushing people away to protect yourself. We repeat these patterns until we recognize them. Love doesn't fix attachment wounds, it exposes them. Most men misinterpret emotional triggers as incompatibility, when in fact they're opportunities for healing. When a woman makes you feel unseen, unloved, or insecure, it's not always because she's doing something wrong. Sometimes she's touching a part of your past that never healed. The moment you realize that, love becomes less about blame and more about awareness. I wish I had known that emotional maturity isn't about never being hurt. It's about staying conscious while you're hurting. Most men shut down when pain arrives. They detach, distract, or disappear. But love demands presence, even when it burns. If you can sit with the discomfort instead of running from it, you begin to transform. You stop reacting from fear and start responding from understanding. The truth is, every man has two voices in him. One says, protect yourself. The other says, open yourself. The first is the ego. The second is the soul. The ego fears loss. The soul seeks connection. When we love unconsciously, the ego leads. We protect our pride, avoid vulnerability, and call it self-respect. But in doing so, we also block love's deepest gift, the experience of being known completely and accepted anyway. I wish I had known that women don't fall in love with perfection. They fall in love with presence. You can't impress a woman into loving you. You can only meet her with your full attention. Presence means being emotionally available, listening without defending, feeling without fleeing. It's rare because it requires self-awareness, and self-awareness requires courage. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This is especially true in relationships. The patterns we repeat, the arguments, the attraction to the same type of person, the fear of intimacy, are not random. They're reflections of our unconscious wounds. We keep meeting the same emotional lessons in different faces until we finally learn them. I wish I knew that heartbreak is not the end of love. It's the beginning of self-knowledge. When you lose someone you love, what you're really losing is the mirror that reflected who you thought you were. In that emptiness, you meet your real self, the one that existed before the relationship, and the one that will continue after it. Pain forces awareness. It humbles the ego and awakens the soul. Every man will eventually face a moment when he must choose: repeat the pattern or grow from it. Some numb themselves with distractions, new partners, new goals, new obsessions. Others sit in the silence and listen. Those who listen realize that love was never the problem. Unconsciousness was. They begin to see relationships not as escapes from loneliness, but as mirrors for evolution. I wish I had known that loving a woman is not about possession. It's about appreciation. You don't own her attention, her affection, or her time. You are simply invited to share it. Love doesn't bind. It honors. When you understand this, jealousy loses its power. You stop competing for reassurance and start cultivating inner peace. Before loving any woman, I wish I had understood boundaries. Love doesn't mean losing yourself. The masculine psyche often equates sacrifice with devotion. We think giving everything proves our worth. But when you abandon your own values for someone else, love becomes dependency. Boundaries are not walls. They are the structure that keeps love grounded. Without them, affection turns into chaos. I wish I had known that emotional attraction without respect leads to destruction. You can desire someone deeply and still not be compatible in growth. Chemistry is not destiny. Sometimes, the people who awaken our strongest feelings are the ones meant to reveal our deepest wounds. The lesson isn't always to stay. Sometimes it's to see clearly and let go consciously. Men often confuse loyalty with endurance. We stay in situations that harm us because leaving feels like failure. But love isn't measured by how much pain you can tolerate. It's measured by how truthfully you can live within it. If honesty disappears, love dissolves. You can't build intimacy on illusion. I wish I had known that the greatest act of love is understanding. To truly love someone is to see them as they are, not as you wish them to be. Most relationships fail, not because love ends, but because understanding does. When you try to change a person to fit your expectations, you're not loving them. You're loving your projection again. Real love allows both people to grow into who they are meant to become, even if that means growing apart. Jung believed that every relationship carries an alchemical purpose, a chance for transformation. The friction, the misunderstanding, the pain, all of it is the psyche's way of burning away illusion. When you face that process consciously, love becomes sacred. It's no longer about getting what you want, but about discovering who you are through connection. I wish I had known that being alone is not failure. Solitude is where you meet your truth. Many men rush into relationships to escape emptiness, but you can't share love from an empty cup. When you learn to be whole by yourself, you stop using women as emotional bandages. You begin to love not from need, but from choice. That's the difference between attachment and devotion. Attachment says, I need you to feel safe. Devotion says, I choose you because my heart is free. Before loving any woman, I wish I had learned the art of listening, not just to her words, but to my reactions. Every emotional trigger is a teacher. When she criticizes you and you feel anger rise, ask, what is this protecting? When she pulls away and you feel panic, ask, what fear is this touching? Self-inquiry transforms conflict into consciousness. Love becomes less about winning and more about understanding. I wish I had known that women don't want perfect men. They want honest ones. Vulnerability is not unattractive. Inconsistency is. When you say you're fine while carrying unspoken resentment, the emotional energy leaks out anyway. The feminine feels it before you do. Integrity is not about always being strong. It's about being real. Every woman teaches you something about yourself. Some show you your sensitivity. Some expose your pride. Some mirror your wounds. And some awaken your potential for unconditional love. The point is not to keep them all. It's to keep the lessons. Because the more you understand yourself, the more gracefully you can love. I wish I had known that love doesn't demand losing your individuality. It asks you to integrate it. A conscious man doesn't disappear into love. He expands through it. He doesn't chase approval. He stands in presence. He doesn't promise forever. He offers awareness in every moment. And that awareness, when shared, becomes the truest form of intimacy. In the end, the lesson every man learns, whether through heartbreak or self-reflection, is that love is not about ownership, performance, or validation. It's about self-awareness. You attract the relationships that match your level of consciousness. If you carry chaos, you'll find it. If you carry peace, you'll create it. So before loving any woman, love yourself enough to face your shadow. Heal the part of you that mistakes attention for affection. Nurture the part that fears rejection. Strengthen the part that hides behind control. When you meet yourself fully, you will meet love differently. You won't seek it to complete you. You'll share it to express you. And when that happens, you'll realize that love was never about finding the right person. It was about becoming the right person. The kind of man who doesn't fall into love, but rises with it. Because the truth is this: before loving any woman deeply, you must first understand the woman within, your inner anima, your emotional side, your capacity to feel. Only then can you offer love that isn't need disguised as devotion. Only then will your love stop being a mirror for your wounds and start becoming a bridge to your wholeness. I wish I had known that earlier. But maybe every heartbreak, every silence, and every ending was necessary. Because sometimes the only way to learn real love is to lose every illusion you ever had about it.